Hey there, folks. Before we dive in, make sure you follow SkyAlert USA so you don't miss this video or any of our future updates. It really helps us out if you subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. We appreciate your support. Welcome back to SkyAlert USA, your #1 source for real-time severe weather coverage across the United States and Canada. I'm coming to you live on this first day of March 2026. And folks, this is not a calm start to meteorological spring. We are tracking multiple major weather events unfolding right now across North America, and the next 3 days are going to be significant for tens of millions of people from the Great Plains all the way to the East Coast. Stay with me, because this is a lot to unpack, and some of it is genuinely alarming. Let's get straight into it. We are currently tracking an Arctic Clipper storm system, fueled by a fresh surge of Arctic air diving south from Canada into the United States. These systems typically form in the lee of the Canadian Rockies, specifically in the Alberta region, and rapidly move across the northern United States toward the east. Now, Clipper systems are not your typical slow-moving blizzard. They are fast-moving, cold, and they punch hard. While snow totals may not reach the catastrophic levels of a nor'easter or a Gulf-powered storm, they are followed by extreme cold air masses characterized by a massive drop in temperature, and that is exactly what we are seeing today. This storm is impacting areas from Chicago and Detroit all the way to New York City and Philadelphia, with Monday morning rush hour travel disrupted by fresh snow and locally ice or freezing rain. If you are in any of these regions and you have to commute tomorrow morning, please be extra careful. Road conditions are expected to deteriorate overnight. But this clipper is just one layer of today's weather story. The bigger picture is what is happening in the atmosphere above us, and it is something we haven't seen in quite some time. Another warming of the Arctic stratosphere is now underway, with the polar vortex forecast to undergo a final split in March 2026. The zonal mean wind reversal around 60 degrees north and 10 hectopascals is expected between February 28th and March 1st, which is today, with its impacts propagating into the troposphere, likely shifting weather patterns over Europe and North America. Let me break that down for those who may not be familiar with the polar vortex. Think of the polar vortex as a massive spinning whirlpool of cold air high up in the stratosphere, sitting above the North Pole. When it is strong and intact, it keeps Arctic air locked up near the pole. When it splits, like it is doing right now, it releases that cold air and sends it crashing southward like a broken dam. Forecast models show that the final split will begin sometime around March 3rd and be complete by March 5th. One of the cores will then move over Canada into the United States, while the other will move towards Siberia. This is a massive development. Here is what this means for you. The disrupted core over Canada could bring cold anomalies over the Prairie Provinces, the Great Lakes region, and parts of the northern United States, while the western states remain under warmer and drier conditions. Eastern Canada could see below-average temperatures and intermittent snow as the jet stream shifts southward. The downward propagation phase typically lasts 1 to 3 weeks, meaning the strongest tropospheric response should be observable by March 10th through the 20th. That means, folks, this is not just a 3-day story. The polar vortex split could be reshaping our weather patterns for the entire first half of March. All right, let me now go through the regions most affected today. Sunday, March 1st, 2026. First up, the Dakotas and Minnesota. There's a narrow but intense corridor of moderate to heavy snow tracking pretty rapidly east-southeast from the Dakotas to the western Great Lakes. The heaviest snow is centered from southeastern North Dakota and northeastern South Dakota into southern Minnesota, where strong frontogenesis and favorable upper jet forcing will likely support a brief period of snowfall rates exceeding 1 inch per hour. Now, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, high snow-to-liquid ratios mean this is some fluffy stuff, accumulating fast. Travel in these areas is strongly discouraged through this afternoon, folks. Moving on to Chicago, Detroit, and the Great Lakes. The Arctic Clipper moves through the Chicago metro and into Michigan tonight. Expect snow, blowing snow, and dangerous wind chills. Monday lows will be in the 20s across the Midwest to the Ohio Valley, with mid-teens across the Great Lakes and the Northeast United States. Severe Weather Europe says wind chill values may make it feel like single digits or even below zero in the most exposed areas. Now, for the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic, a round of precipitation is forecast from the Mississippi Valley into the Ohio and Tennessee valleys and the Mid-Atlantic into early Tuesday. Moisture overrunning a cold high-pressure system to the north will result in wintry precipitation. While this isn't expected to be a blockbuster storm, it's broadly notable for some snow across portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, and into potentially the northern mid-Atlantic. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, along and just to the south, the pattern will also favor a swath of mixed precipitation like sleet and freezing rain, especially across portions of the mid-Atlantic. Accumulations and track of the wintry weather remain uncertain. This is important. The exact rain, snow, and sleet line remains somewhat uncertain. So please continue to monitor your local National Weather Service forecast closely. Turning to New York City and Philadelphia. Both major metro areas are in the impact zone for tonight into Monday. The storm will impact areas from Chicago and Detroit to New York City and Philadelphia, with Monday morning rush hour travel disrupted by fresh snow and locally ice or freezing rain. Severe Weather Europe says if you're in the NYC or Philly metro area, set your alarm earlier tomorrow. Roads will be slick. Now let's talk about the south, the Plains and Gulf Coast. The plains to the mid-Mississippi Valley continue with warm and dry conditions. Any fires that initiate could spread quickly. The warm temperatures will expand across the southern plains into the southwest, where numerous records are expected through the weekend. According to the National Weather Service, while the north is freezing, the south is dangerously dry. Fire weather watches and red flag warnings remain a concern across portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and into New Mexico and Arizona this weekend. And finally, Kentucky. Today is actually the first day of Severe Weather Awareness Week in Kentucky. Severe weather can occur any time of the year and can bring many different hazards and impacts to the region. Severe Weather Awareness Week is your reminder that you need to be weather ready for all types of hazards, such as tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, large hail, lightning, heavy rain, flooding, and high winds. The National Weather Service says it's a fitting reminder as we enter the meteorological spring season. The cold air anomaly is sitting over Canada, being pushed into the northern and northeastern United States, reaching into the north-central parts and also covering the Midwest. The lowest temperatures are forecast over the upper Midwest and the northeastern United States, reaching near 0 degrees Fahrenheit, or even negative single digits over the northeast, according to Severe Weather Europe. For our Canadian viewers, the Prairie Provinces of Alberta, Saskatchewan and Manitoba are already deep in the grips of winter. The polar vortex split, expected to complete by March 5th, will keep cold air entrenched across the Prairie Provinces and into Ontario and Quebec through the second week of March. Toronto and the Greater Ontario region saw one of their worst snowstorm seasons in recent memory just weeks ago during the historic winter storm Fern in late January. Toronto Pearson International Airport reported its largest single-day snowfall since records began in 1937, receiving a total of 46 centimetres of snow in a single day, with 61 centimetres accumulated in downtown Toronto, according to Wikipedia. The city has been working hard to recover, and now forecasters are warning of more cold and potential snow events this month. A main low-pressure area sits over Canada, connected to the lower stratospheric core. This has two major weather impacts: the transport of cold air across Canada and into the northern and northeastern United States, and the building of a high-pressure zone that locks cold air in place, as noted by Severe Weather Europe. All right. Let's talk about the 72-hour forecast. What to expect day by day. So, today is Sunday, March 1st, and the Arctic Clipper storm is at maximum intensity. We're looking at heavy snow coming down in the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. That snow will be spreading into Michigan and Indiana tonight. Now, down in the southern plains and the southwest, we've got red flag fire weather conditions to watch out for. Temperatures up across the upper Midwest, well, they're going to struggle to even reach the teens and 20s. Wind chills? They'll make it feel a heck of a lot colder. Folks, please stay off the roads in those affected areas. Now, moving into Monday, March 2nd, shortwave energy and moisture will overrun that colder air into Tuesday. So there's a wintry precipitation threat brewing for parts of the mid-upper Mississippi and Ohio valleys, stretching into the Appalachians and the mid-Atlantic. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the morning commute across cities like Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia and New York is shaping up to be the most dangerous. Allow yourself some extra time, all right? Ice is the silent killer. Even a thin glaze can cause deadly accidents. Wind chills across the Great Lakes, still in the single digits. By Tuesday, March 3rd, we're expecting an active and wet period as a series of amplified southern stream lows dig into an unsettled west and southwest, with subsequent northeastward ejections into the central United States. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says that by Tuesday, the storm threat shifts westward, with new energy developing across the southern stream. The Rockies could see some significant mountain snow, while the desert southwest deals with heavy rain and the potential for flash flooding in those low-lying desert areas. Meanwhile, back east, temperatures will start to moderate just a bit, but don't let that fool you. The polar vortex split later in the week means, well, another cold shot is already loading up. The spring 2026 season is marked by a collapsing La Niña that's still having a diminishing influence over North America. This transition will be dictated by a high-pressure system in the Pacific, while a low-pressure zone over Canada is expected to keep that colder air mass within close reach of the United States. According to Severe Weather Europe, the combination of spring cold and increased precipitation will also impact early season snowfall potential, which honestly can still surprise folks across the northern, central and eastern United States in spring. The ECMWF and UKMO snowfall forecast for March shows above normal snowfall over the southern half of Canada and over the northern United States. Severe Weather Europe points out, and here's what may surprise a lot of people watching today, conditions will gradually improve as March starts. But looking ahead, the midterm trends suggest a more dynamic weather pattern will return to the south, with the first potential severe weather systems arriving the following week. Severe Weather Europe says that's right. As we get into the second and third week of March, we're watching the potential for the first major severe weather outbreak of the 2026 season across the south and central plains. The clash between returning warmth from the south and that lingering Arctic air from the polar vortex collapse is a classic recipe for violent thunderstorms, supercells, large hail, and, potentially, tornadoes. We'll be covering this developing threat closely here on SkyAlert USA. So make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. You do not want to miss that coverage. Multiple active weather alerts are in effect across the country right now. Here's what the National Weather Service currently has posted. Active alert types include blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings, high wind warnings, red flag warnings, winter weather advisories, cold weather advisories, dense fog advisories, and wind advisories across multiple states. That's all from the National Weather Service. If you're under any of these alerts, please take them seriously. Last January's winter storm. Fern was a brutal reminder of how quickly conditions can turn life-threatening. During that storm, 12 emergency declarations were approved, allowing states to request federal expertise and resources to help protect and save lives, property, public health and safety. That's from FEMA. Now, some safety tips for today and the next 72 hours. Stay off roads unless it's absolutely necessary during active snow and ice events. Keep emergency supplies in your vehicle, blankets, water, snacks, flashlight, jumper cables. Check on elderly neighbors and those without power. If you lose power, never run a generator or grill indoors. Carbon monoxide is invisible and deadly. Download the FEMA app to receive real-time alerts for your zip code. And if you need emergency warming assistance, text SHELTER plus your zip code to 43362. Folks, that is your full SkyAlert USA weather briefing for Sunday, March 1st, 2026. This is honestly one of the most complex and layered weather setups we've seen to start a month in years. We've got a fast-moving clipper today, a wintry mix through the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic tonight and tomorrow, a historic polar vortex split wrapping up by March 5th, and the seeds of what could be a major severe weather season already being planted for mid-March. Stay alert, stay prepared. And stay with SkyAlert USA, because we're watching the sky so you don't have to. If this video helped you, smash that like button, share it with someone who needs to know, and subscribe for daily weather updates. Drop your location in the comments. I want to know what the weather looks like where you are right now. Until next time, stay safe out there. This is